Chapter 19, here we go. Chapter 19, Camp Spartan, Arrington, Tennessee. The newly formed team spent the following days going over the borrowed police reports, courtesy of Neil. Someday you're going to have to show me how the hell you find this stuff, Neil, Travis said. It's called plausible deniability, Mr. CEO. If I don't tell you, you can honestly tell your interrogators that you had no idea how I got my hands on this stuff. Besides, I can't show you all my secrets. Fair enough. How about you give us a quick rundown of what we're looking at? My eyes are starting to hurt. Okay, here's the gist. Neil waved a hand at the reports. The local authorities haven't come up with much. I will give them credit, though. They put a lot of resources into this investigation. Based on what Cal has told us, it looks like their rendition of what happened in the alley is pretty spot on. On the other hand, their search for West is lacking. They don't have the resources, or they just don't have the resources. They've beaten the bushes and interrogated this shorty guy, but haven't come up with much. This kid was a new recruit and didn't have much knowledge of West's hideouts and operations. What they have gotten from him, they've exploited pretty efficiently. So what you're saying is that we don't have much to go on, Cal said. Right, Neil answered. I've gone over everything they have, and it really doesn't give us much help on finding West. Cal turned to Master Sergeant Trent, who was carefully studying a map of the Nashville area. What do you think, Top? Without turning away from the map, Trent answered. I think we need to start beating some bushes, too. I'll volunteer to start on the north side of town. No offense, Top, but you're not the most inconspicuous of detectives, Cal said. Don't worry about me, Cal. What my size lacks in subtlety, it more than makes up for intimidation. I figure West is probably not only in deep shit with the cops, but also with some of his customers and rivals. The way these guys work, they're all thinly connected by financial obligations and past favors. I'll just pretend I'm looking for Mr. West to pay back the money he owes me. I can be pretty convincing when I want to be. Cal relented. Okay, can't say I have anything better. Neil, what do you think? I'm with Top. We need to get some boots on the ground. He'll blend in best in that area anyway. I can give him some help with some gadgets if he wants. Just let me know what you need, Top. Cal turned to his cousin. Trav, I know you're busy, but can you spare some time to talk with some of your contacts within the Metro Nashville Police Department? No problem. I'll see if I can swing a lunch with a couple of my buddies. We've made some good friends on the force around here. They've even spent some time in our simulators and on our live fire ranges. Good. See what you can find out about ongoing operations to find West, and make sure they don't think we're jumping into this thing. Cal turned to Brian next. That leaves me, Doc, and Andy. Okay, said Brian. What are we doing? Now that I'm getting around on my own power, I want to go have a little talk with Irene. The girl at the condo? Cal nodded. I have a bad feeling that her walk through my condo wasn't just casual curiosity. Anybody have any other questions, comments, or concerns? Travis raised his hand. Yeah, we may have one small issue. Just got a text from our legal department. Seems as though we've gotten a couple inquiries from some local reporter. He was trying to find you and was looking for a comment on the investigation. Just tell them to blow him off, Cal said. I did, but I've heard about this guy, Travis said. He's a tenacious fucker, young and ambitious. Gave the local police hell earlier this year over some alleged abuse scandal. Turned out to be nothing, but it really gave the police a black eye. This guy smells a story. What's his name? Cal asked. Henry Bellinger. Why do I know that name? Cal said. Travis shrugged. You've probably seen his name on any story condemning conservatives, the military, or the police. He loves conspiracies and is smart as hell. So how do we deal with this guy? Let me think about it. I may just put the hammer on it. Brian looked at Travis. The hammer? Otherwise known as Marjorie Haynes. She's our lead attorney. Don't call her hammer to her face or she'll kick your ass. Cal thought about the problem for a minute. What if I give him an interview over the phone? What could that hurt? Travis shook his head. No way, Cal. This prick will find some way to twist your words. He's already suggesting that you should be arrested for the murder of those guys in the alley. Cal's anger boiled over. Any idiot can see that my actions were in self-defense. What's he trying to prove? His cousin answered by pointing his finger at Cal. That's what he's trying to prove. You're some kind of animal that should be caged. He hates the military and will love to get a juicy story on the killer Marine. I'm saying that if you get on the book with this guy, he'll he'll make that famous short fuse of yours to burn out. He'll make that famous short fuse of yours to burn out really quick. Taking a labored, calming breath, Cal nodded to his cousin. Touché. Guess it's pretty easy to hit my hot spot sometimes. Yeah, well, even your dad wasn't perfect there either, Travis said. He had a killer temper on that rare occasion he got riled. Tell me about it. All right, I'll stay away from this reporter, Cal said, and let you handle it. You guys ready to go? Everyone nodded and headed for the door. Next section. Dante drove by the home without turning his head, but instead used his peripheral vision to take in the details. The property was probably a couple acres and far removed from many neighbors. It was situated in the Leapers Fork area in the city of Franklin, Tennessee. The area was known for the mansions of some of the country's oldest and brightest stars. This home was nothing like the homes of the stars. It was a modest one level with a 3-car garage. No frills. The driveway was lined with neatly spaced trees, and the lawn was well maintained. Basic. Dante drove a little way past the property and looked back. There didn't seem to be any activity outside. He decided to take a chance and pull into the vacant land adjacent to the target property. A densely wooded entryway gave him a perfect opportunity to conceal the late model Honda Civic he was driving. Carefully slipping out of the car, he pulled down his ball cap and checked his aviator sunglasses to make sure his face was properly hidden. He didn't have to go far to find a decent spot behind a tree that afforded him a clear view of the whole property. From the distance, he couldn't see any movement. He pulled out a pair of small sport binoculars he purchased for cash at a nearby gas station. His eyes adjusted and focused onto the side window that seemed to be part of the living area. All he wanted at this point was to confirm that the owners still lived at the location and were alone. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's Liberty shaking herself off on the side. The last thing he wanted this go-around was more surprises. He waited 10, 20, 30 minutes. Nothing. Just about the time he decided to leave and come back, Dante caught a flicker of activity in the back of the house. Please don't have a big fucking dog, Dante thought. A middle-aged man walked out the back door onto a wooden deck, trailed by a tiny chihuahua. Dante watched as the man waited for the dog to relieve itself. Finished, the small dog ran happily back into the house, and the man followed. One here, now I've got to make sure Mama's home, too. He shifted his gaze, and minutes later, saw what he'd waited for. The man's wife walked into view after opening the garage door. Dante focused on the 2 modest vehicles and didn't find the telltale signs of a family trip or impending visitors. It looked like the couple would be at home tomorrow, alone. He took his time walking back to the car. He ran the details of the upcoming assault through his head. This time, he'd be the one leading the way, just like the old days. Things wouldn't go wrong this time. So that's pretty self-explanatory, other than the dog shaking himself off in the side. I guess I should have left her out somewhere else. But so Dante is taking matters into his own hands, and the boys are going to look for him. So we'll see what happens in the next chapter.